herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Alexander, and I am a counselor for the students with the last names that begin with A through E.
Good evening, parents. It's so nice to see so many faces and people in this meeting. My name is Alexis Mealy, and I am the counselor for students' last names F through LI.
I am Shauna Hansen. I have students with last names RO through Z, as well as English language learners. And then we have another counselor, Mr. Sasha Heflin. He wasn't able to make it to the meeting tonight, but his students are students with last names LO through RI. I want to start with our mission statement in regards to the counseling program. The school counseling job role has changed over the last decade or so, and we want to make sure that we are addressing students' needs in a variety of ways. So our goal as a counseling department is to provide proactive and equitably comprehensive program addressing their academic needs, their college and career needs, their social and emotional needs. We take into account students' backgrounds, their individual circumstances, and we collaborate with teachers, parents, students, community members to ensure that students are becoming successful, contributing citizens, and lifelong learners in a diverse and changing world. So the role of the school counselor is broken up into those three parts. We help students academically, which is what we'll talk a lot about tonight. We also help students in regards to college and career needs. And then we also work with students in regards to their social and emotional well-being. We will talk a little bit about that as well tonight, but again, if you would like some more in-depth information about the services and resources that we can provide, especially when it comes to their social and emotional health, we did present some of that information at the presentation last week, which is available on our school website. We're gonna start with some requirements. And so we know that this has been an incredibly difficult year for a lot of students. We understand that distance learning is not for everybody. We understand that some students are thriving because the expectations are very clear. They have a good environment to learn. Their computer is always working, and they're good to go. And we also understand that for some students, this has been a very, very difficult time. And so we are working with our district to make sure that we are providing the resources that students need, that we're reaching out to students and families when we see there might be some issues or concerns. As of right now, for our 10th grade class, we are at the point where we are still holding students accountable for the graduation requirements. So in our district, our students are required to earn 220 credits for graduation. Each class, each semester is worth 5 credits. And so those 5 credits have to be in specific areas. For example, 40 credits in English, 30 of them in history with very different, 3 different course requirements. And those all added up to at least 220 credits. So that is obviously, we want every student to graduate from high school. We also talk to students about, and we want students to be aware of the A through G requirements or the college readiness requirements. So the A through G requirements are what the Cal States and the UCs determine students need to do in order to be ready for college. So what they need to do in high school to be ready for the California Public University system. And they call those the A through G requirements. Simply, each subject area is assigned a letter. For example, social science is A, English is B. That's where the A through G comes from. And they have certain requirements. In order to meet those requirements, students must earn grades of C's or better in those core courses or in those A through G courses. This information that we are presenting tonight, we will also be presenting to the students next week. So they will have this information available to them, and I'll go over it a little bit more in depth later on in the presentation as to where you can find digital versions of the paper that or the information that we're presenting tonight. One of the other things that the state has determined is important is that we want students to graduate from our school ready for college or career. And that is determined based on a variety of factors, including high school coursework, including testing, and we'll talk about testing a little later, including pathway completion for meeting a CTE or a college, a career or trade pathway. And so we have these different options for students available at our school. And there are a variety of ways for students to meet this college and career readiness indicator. And so to meet that indicator, the dashboard that California has said that the students need to do a variety of things. One can be to score well on the Smarter Balance or the CASP assessment. They can do well on at least 2 AP exams or 2 IB exams, or they complete dual enrollment classes, or they complete the A through G courses and do one of those other criteria. So students are typically super concerned about meeting this college and career indicator, but it is a factor in which our school is judged. And so we encourage students to stay on track for meeting those A through G requirements, as well as challenging themselves in either AP or IB courses, or doing well on the other testing that's required of them. Another thing that the students will receive is a list of all the A through G courses that are offered at our school. So it breaks it down into each subject area, what the requirement is, and what classes we offer. I know this is very tiny. I wouldn't expect you to be able to read all those tiny words on the screen in front of you. It's an idea of what you can expect to see from your child in the coming weeks. And they'll have it available to them digitally when we meet with them. So there's a list of all the courses. If at any point you have a question about a specific course, you're welcome to reach out to us and we can help answer those questions. I do want to talk for a minute about the scheduling process. So it seems a little odd, like we are at a point in this school year where we really don't have a lot of answers in terms of returning to campus. When will that happen? What will that look like? Will students be returning full time? Will they be in a hybrid model at some point? And we understand that there are a lot of unknowns ahead of us as a society, as a district, and as a school. What we want to do, though, is we want to be able to proceed and provide our students the best opportunity for a good education. And we are working with our teachers to provide quality distance learning. We are working with our administration to make sure that we are able to offer as many courses as we can moving forward in a way that is as safe as possible. So next week, the counselors will be meeting with all of the 10th grade students to go over what next year might look like, what classes might be available to them or will likely be available to them. We will help them understand where they're at and what they need to do going forward. If there are any courses that they need to make up, if there are, if they want to select IB courses or AP courses, have they met those prerequisites? We'll also work with them on their current grades and the things they can do to either improve those or maintain those. And so we will go over where they're at now and what their goals are going forward. And then beginning the week of February 16th, we will actually be meeting with every 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade student in short individual meetings. These will take place during their English classes. So while they're online with their teacher working on an assignment for the day, the counselor will pull them into a breakout room or a separate Google Meet, and we will review their transcripts, and we will review if they need a summer school class. We'll go over what classes they would like to take for next year and talk through those options with them. They are not lengthy meetings, but they are meaningful to us because it is a chance for us to get to see our students and also a chance for the students to ask any questions that they might have, about this current school year, as well as questions they might have about next year, next year's classes. And so we will be using the time. It will take us about a month to get through and meet every single student. If for some reason we do not get to them during class time, please don't stress about it. We will make sure that we have an opportunity to meet with every student, either during class time or through an individual meeting after school, one day before the end of the school year. So if for some reason we don't get to them during their class time, we will make sure that we get to them. And then we'll talk about summer school at that time if it is necessary for your child. When we talk about 11th grade classes, all students are going to be required to take 6 classes next year. And we want them to take a strong academic schedule, meaning we want them to take an English class. We want them to take a US history class. We expect them to take a math, a science, possibly a language other than English. We also know that some students, because we had to adjust our schedule in August, basically the week before school started, we had to make some adjustments to our schedule. And a lot of students did not have a PE class this year. So we understand that that is something that we're going to have to work with. We're looking at summer school options for that. We're looking at opportunities for students to take those, to meet those PE requirements in either 11th or 12th grade. So we do understand that that is a concern for some students because they want to be on track with where they plan, and they want to work towards meeting those A through G requirements. So we'll talk through those options with them, as well as if they have any credit recovery classes that they need to take. One thing that we do expect is that when we meet with students, if they're selecting something, we do expect them to commit to it for the school year. And we know that things come up, and we know that shift to distance learning, to hybrid, to in-person, or what that might look like. We understand that there's a lot going on, and we are willing to work with students. But we do want them to try to commit to the classes that they are selecting. We also know that because it's a difficult time, we are going to probably not be able to offer as many classes as we always have been, because we want to account for student health and safety. We're going to need to group classes together or have smaller class sizes. And so we will ask students to select alternate courses or backup courses, and help them understand that we are asking what they want, but knowing that we're going to have to probably make some adjustments along the way. And we'll do our best to communicate those as they arise. This is some of the paperwork that students will get. We typically would hand it to them in person. Obviously, that's not going to happen this year, but all of the materials will be available to the students through their class of 2022 Google Classroom. That is, they already have access to that Google Classroom. They should not need to join it. We've already made sure that all of our students are there. If for some reason they can't find that Google Classroom, they can email their counselor, and we will add them back in. Students do not need printed copies of these materials, but if you would like a printed copy, or you and you don't have a printer at home, we will have a few packets available in the office. We just opened up the offices today, so we will have some printed copies available. If students would like a paper copy, they can grab that from us on Friday. The office is open from 7:30 to 3. Again, students do not need to print the materials, but if you want to look them over with them, and you really want to be able to highlight and circle and all that good stuff, then you're welcome to either print them at home or come in and grab a printed copy on Friday. Students, after we meet with them, we'll go over what their options are, what's available to them, and we will show them how to enter their course requests in the ARIES portal. They have until February 22nd to enter those requests on their own. It must be done in the student portal. So there is a video on here, and we'll be sharing the video with the students about how to do that. but they must use the student portal. It cannot be done through the parent portal. So we'll show students how to access their portal if they don't know how, and then we will go through the instructions so that they know exactly how to choose those course requests, and those are due in the portal by February 22nd. I did talk a minute about summer school. Some of our students this year has been difficult, and we understand that they may need summer school. We also know that some students who take a very full academic course load may need to take a summer school class to fit in all of their courses. So when we meet with students, we for sure have 2 semesters. Those are going to be run through Mount SAC. They will be virtual. And so they're with South Hills teachers, but Mount SAC funds the program. So your student may, or your child may need a summer school class or 2. When we meet with them, we will make a note of that and we will put them in that class. All right, so when we talk through choosing classes, we do have AP and IB options.
All right. So as Mrs. Hanson mentioned, when it comes to a student schedule, we're really expecting students to continue to take an academically rigorous course load for their junior year. We also realize that, like Mrs. Hanson said, the unknown is still out there about what to expect for next year. But at South Hills, we offer 2 types of advanced coursework, which are our AP and our IB classes. We will be going into more depth in regards to IB at the end of this presentation, but it's important to know that the AP and IB courses demand more work than a regular college prep course. They tend to be a bit more fast-paced and cover more material than a typical high school level because they are college-level courses. They require more time, and we expect students who sign up for this class to be ready and prepared for this type of coursework. And then when talking about the full diploma IB program, there are other expectations and requirements, but we'll be going into more detail about that at the end of this presentation. So let's dig deeper into both of the programs. AP is, as some of you might know, our advanced placement courses. Some of you may have taken them when you were in high school. The AP courses are college level that are offered at the high school, and they are able to transfer to college credit when students take the AP exams. So a score of 3 or higher on an AP exam can typically earn students college credit or placement into an advanced course in college. And then moving on to the IB program, just a brief overview before we go into more detail later. IB stands for International Baccalaureate. We are the only school in Covina Valley District that has an IB program. These courses can only be taken during students' junior and senior year. So some of your children might be taking an AP class right now, whether it be AP World History, AP Computer Science, but students are unable to take IB until their junior year. There are 2 types of courses. There are HL courses, which cover a class within 2 years, and then an SL course that is 1 year long. So an HL course goes 2 years long, and a SL course is 1 year long. Students have options in regards to what type of a program they would like to take. We have the diploma program where students are taking a full load of IB classes, and this is the most rigorous coursework students can take at South Hills. So if students decide to take the IB diploma program, they are taking on a very rigorous program. We also have an associate's program which cover 3 or 4 classes. So it's a bit lighter than the diploma, but still quite rigorous. And then of course, students can choose a la carte individual courses dependent on their interests. IB focuses on the student as a whole person, and we're going to be talking a lot more about their mission and what their goals are as an international baccalaureate program when Ms. Marquez talks about it in a bit. So the biggest question that we get is, what is the difference between IB and AB? IB and AP? Why would one student take a certain course versus another? The biggest thing to note is that it's really not a IB versus AP. It really depends on your child as a learner. So IB is a comprehensive program of study. When students are taking the diploma program, the courses meld together where they are being focusing on different topics across all different subject levels. AP is individual coursework. There's not an unifying core, and it is content-based. The IB program is a 1 to 2 year courses. There are options, and then AP, you only have the option to take the class for 1 year. The curriculum, they both are very focused on critical thinking. However, the difference is, like I said, AP is very content-based. You'll learn about AP World History, and you'll take a test on AP World History. In IB, it is very much independent in the sense where students get to choose some topics that they discuss or they talk about or they write papers about. So, of course, there is an exam for IB, but it is a lot more collaborative and a lot of discussion and very student-centered and inquiry-based. And a way that is easy to, a bit of an analogy is IB is kind of like a photo album where students are scored on multiple assessments, internal, external, essays, projects for their score, and AP is one exam. It's a snapshot. So every student has a preference about how they learn best. So it is important to, when the time comes, if you want to learn a little bit more about IB, at the end of the presentation, like I said, Ms. Marquez will be going over in much more detail the IB program. It's really important to note, as I said, this isn't a versus, this is a which program is best for your child. They are both valued highly by colleges and universities. A big myth in the IB or just in our in general is that IB is not accepted by some schools. They are both very valued by universities and colleges. They both offer college coursework and credit. They also give the opportunity for students to prepare themselves for the university. They also have a rigorous academic profile. Most students choose between AP and IB dependent on their learning style and what kind of learning they benefit from. And like I said before, there are a lot of myths about AP versus IB. We are really trying to make sure that families and students understand the difference and that it is not a competition about which one's better. It truly comes down to which one will serve your student better in regards to their learning style. So it's really important to note that, like I said before, admissions reps honor both programs. Credit granting policies do differ from college. So making sure that your student is looking into which courses are accepted, because there are some schools that don't take some AP credit as well as some schools that don't take IB credit. So it's important that students are doing their research. And then be sure to check, like I said, with specific colleges regarding their acceptance. But yeah, they're both they're very rigorous. They both are able to prepare the students for college level work. And like I said, these links are places for students to check out to see what coursework is available for college credit. So in regards to the AP exams, they are administered school-wide in May. We will be talking a little bit more about the updates and the plan moving forward for this coming May. They're typically 3 to 4 hours. It's a multiple choice with some free responses, and they will receive scores ranging from a 5 to a 1 on the AP exams, 5 being the highest. And as mentioned before, the IB exams focus on multiple types of assessments. So not only are they expected to take an exam in May as well, they also use the internal assessments, which focus on the coursework that they do to add up towards their score. So students who might not be the best test takers can really benefit from having other types of assessments into their score. So the IB full diploma, students receive a score from 7 to 1, 7 being the highest. And then all of the courses together will combine if students are taking the diploma program. Okay, now we'll talk about preparing for college. Mrs. Hanson will jump back in.
All right, so one of the things that one of the things that's really important about us when we're talking to students is their plans for the future. What does that look like? And we know that college, or especially four-year college, is not the same, is not what everybody wants or needs. There are a lot of other after high school opportunities. We just want to make sure that students, when they leave us, they are prepared for whatever choice it is that they make. And we want to help them make informed decisions when preparing for college or the career world. We want students to understand that their high school grades and classes matter for college. We want them to know that their hard work matters. The skills that they learn are important going forward. Not only the actually learning of content and material, but also learning those work ethics and the things that will help them to be learners or to be lifelong learners going forward. So some things we want students to kind of work on now or help focus on when thinking about college. Start thinking about what types of colleges are out there. What are their interests? What are their priorities? Kind of narrowing down some of those options. There are thousands of colleges across the United States, and they have different requirements. They have different things that they have to offer. Just today, we were talking about a student who wanted to do a welding program and was applying to a certain school, and that school doesn't offer a welding program. So they have to decide, is it the program that's important, or is it the school that's important? And those are the kinds of things that we work with students to help them understand what's out there, how to narrow down those choices and make some decisions. So some things that we encourage students to start thinking about now when they're looking for colleges. What size of school are they looking for? They're used to a high school campus with 1,600 students, or they're used to their bedroom with one student now. And we don't want them to be so overwhelmed by a massive college, or some students, they thrive in an environment where there are hundreds of students. And so we want to make sure that we are guiding our students in the right direction, and that they're considering those things. We want them to consider majors that are being offered. We want them to consider the requirements. Are they meeting those requirements? We want them to consider financial aid. How much does it cost to go to that school? We want to, sorry, the presentation got thrown off. Let me make sure it's up there. We want to make sure, we want students to know what activities are available to them, what sports. Are they interested in internships or other research opportunities? And then something that's really important is, what is the average time it takes for a student to graduate from that college or university? If it takes 5, 6, 7 years, why? That should be a question that they should be asking, is why is it taking students a long time to meet the requirements for graduation? We also talk to students in terms of these terms: a reach school, a target school, a safety school. So there's this idea that we want students to find colleges that fit them. Are they on target with their GPA or their testing scores? Are they within the range of a student who would typically be accepted at that college or university? Then we have students that are schools that students apply to that would be considered a reach. It could be sometimes called a dream school. And it might be a reach for everybody who applies because they are highly selective, or the student doesn't meet the range of their typical student who's been selected at that school. And then we always want students to find a safety school or two where they know there's a 90% chance they're going to get accepted, that if the other options don't work out, that it would be a good fit for them, a good place for them to learn. When we talk about college options, earlier I mentioned the A through G requirements. And so those are put in place as the requirements for the California State Universities and the University of California schools. Those are our public four-year options in California. We also have a lot of private colleges and universities. There are a lot of out-of-state colleges and universities. We have community colleges. We also have trade and apprenticeship options for students to look into. When we talk public schools in California, I know it seems like a little crazy. This is still 2 years away, but we really want students thinking about what they're doing now and how it factors in to their college choices. So these are some things to consider. For the Cal States, those are going to be your most affordable four-year option in California because they're publicly funded. The tuition costs are significantly lower than going out of state or to a private university. So the Cal State universities, there are 23 campuses, ones you may have heard of, Cal State Long Beach, Cal State LA, Cal State Fullerton, Cal Poly Pomona. Those are just a few of the Cal State University options. As of this year, they no longer require or factor in SAT or ACT scores, meaning they will not look at them. This is a big change for the Cal States, as it was one of only two factors prior to this year. So they're looking significantly at the students' high school GPA as well as the courses that they took. And they have some other factors that they're working on, but each school looks a little bit differently. It's really, really based on classes taken, A through G completion, and GPA. So that is a big deal. There is no writing, there are no letters of recommendation. It's just what the students submit on their application. And the approximate cost with living expenses is about $23,000 per year. For students to live at home and go to Cal Poly or Cal State Fullerton or Cal State LA, it's significantly cheaper because there would not be the room and board costs factored in. The UCs, or the University of California, those would be like your UCLA, Berkeley, UC Irvine, San Diego. Those are also public four-year universities. They are research institutions. There are 9 campuses. Their minimum GPA is a 3.0, but a 3.0 is on the very low end of students who are accepted. So keep that in mind when making the decision that you want to make sure that students are not just meeting the minimum GPA, but they're really within the range for those schools. They also have taken SAT and ACT scores out of the admissions process. They will not even review them. They don't look at them. They do not get factored into the student's admission decision. They do require the students to tell about themselves, though. They ask them to write insight questions. They ask them to tell about their experiences, how they ask them to account for their time, either as volunteers or in a job or in clubs, sports, all the things that they've done. And the approximate cost is about $34,000 per year. We also have the California community colleges. A lot of times people call them JC, or they used to be called junior colleges. But they're California community colleges. There are over 100 of them in California. Our local colleges that we work with or we partner with are Mount SAC and Citrus. And there's no minimum GPA, no SAT score. The tuition is about $1,100 to $1,200 per year. And then there are private and out-of-state schools. These are vastly different in terms of their application deadlines, their admissions requirements, whether they accept or don't accept test scores, and they vary drastically in cost. So you can see the logos of some of those local schools as well as schools across the country. Lots of research required when making those decisions. Right now, 10th grade, the students cannot or should not be applying to college, but they should be gathering information, really thinking through what options are out there, looking at opportunities to learn more about the different colleges that exist. So I'm going to share a few slides here with information about the different about some different college exploration opportunities. So one of them is the NACAC virtual college fairs. I know it's super tiny and I would not expect you to be able to read any of the things really on that slide, but that is one virtual college fair on February 28th, And all those little teeny tiny words are all schools who will be represented at that college fair. So a student would go online, register for the college fair. There isn't a video tutorial about how the process will work. And then the student will sign up for Zoom sessions with whichever colleges they might be interested. And the college will present some information, take some questions and answers along the way. And so that is one way to gather some information about different colleges that exist across the country. And you can see there are 8 different dates for those college fairs. There's also, College Board has put together virtual college fairs called Big Future Days. The first one just passed last weekend, but there are still 3 additional dates. This is the same idea that they get connected to different colleges across the country. They listen to learn about the college and then participate in any questions and answers. For all 3 of these options that I'm sharing, they are all already posted in the class of 2023 Google Classroom. Thank you. I messed up on the previous slides and said class of 2022, but they are the class of 2023. And here's another option. These are all California colleges and universities, so independent, so private or non-public options in California. And again, the same idea that a student can learn about the different college options that exist in California, and they can sign up and attend those sessions. One resource that's really great and available to students for free from our district is called Naviance. So Naviance is a college and career tool. Basically, the idea is that students can search for all different colleges. They can learn about all different types of careers. They can build a resume. They can sign up for college visits. They can learn about scholarships. It's all in one website that the district has provided to each student for free. Students can log in without a username or password. They just use their Google account by going to the Google Waffle and choosing Naviance for students. Once they're in there, it looks like this, and there are different tabs across the top colleges, careers, and then those tabs will navigate them to different parts of the website. So they can explore career information by clicking on the careers tab. And there's different searches within there. There's a career cluster finder and a career interest profiler. Both of those are like quizzes that students would take about themselves to help them kind of see what is out there based on their personality or their interests. They can also search by career cluster. So say they want to be in the medical field, but they really don't know what that means. Like they don't like blood. So how could they be in the medical field? There are a lot of careers that exist that don't require students to be with patients or to be with bodily fluids or whatever the case may be. There are a lot of jobs that exist in the medical field that don't have those requirements. And so students can search by that field and see information about all of the careers or many of the careers that exist within that field. There's also information about the wages, the college degrees required, what interests or skills they might have to do well in that career. Students can also search the colleges tab. One of the best features within the colleges tab is the Super Match college search. And so all of those things across the top are all filters. So students would just choose the filter that they most identify with. Like if it was me, I don't want to leave California. So I'm going to choose location, California. Some students are like, get me out of here. And so they'll choose a location that's not California. And for others, that's not important. Maybe the major is what's important, or the student life, or a student who really wants to be involved in athletics. Either as a spectator or as a player, they can search all these different college options within the Naviance website. This is a great place to start. Of course, once they have narrowed down some of these options, they're going to need to do some additional research about those colleges, ask questions at the college fairs, but this will at least give them thinking in the right direction about the colleges that exist. Here's another tool that's available to students for free. It's California Career Zone. So this is California specific. Because California is unique, the careers that exist in California are sometimes unique, and sometimes careers exist that we don't really even know about, or they're anticipating that careers will exist in the next few years. And so there's all different possibilities, all different industry sectors. And there's also some built in the Explore tab, there's also some built in quizzes or ways to figure out what their interests might be and what careers they could match with in California. And then another college search option is the Big Future, which is part of College Board. And here you can search by college name, you can explore different careers, you can find financial aid information, search for different college options based on different filters, very similar to what is in on the Naviance website. By signing in, they're able to save their information in the Big Future site as well. And most students, all students should have a College Board account because they use that during their English class and maybe in their biology or chemistry class as well. I forget if this was me or Miss Mealy who was going to talk about this. Sorry, I got thrown off. So much information, so I'm trying to keep my head straight. We also are wanting to make sure that our students are aware that 10th grade is really important, that what they're doing now matters for the future. 10th grade is often the year where students feel very overwhelmed. Especially right now, they're feeling very overwhelmed. All of their classes are meaningful and important, and we really want them to do well. We really want them to work hard in those classes. So their GPA does matter. Now, I don't want students, we have this conversation, their 10th and 11th grade GPA is very important. It's used to determine their eligibility for college. It's used to determine their eligibility for financial aid, especially for Cal Grants in California. It's important, but it is not the only thing that is important. So if a student had a really rough 10th grade year, it does not mean that they can't go to college. It does not mean that they can't qualify for financial aid. It just means that there's some work to be done and some areas in which the student can improve. So in talking about GPA though, it is important, and we want students to do their best in the circumstances presented to them. So when we talk about Cal Grants are one of the ways that California helps to fund higher education. So when students go to college, if there is financial need and they have a GPA that is either 2.0 or 3.0 or higher, that is how students qualify for the Cal Grants. Cal Grants are California-specific money that is spent for students who attend college in California. Next year at this time and in their senior year, we'll be talking a lot more in depth about Cal Grants, how to apply, how to get financial aid. It's just something to kind of be thinking about now in terms of financing college, but also in terms of maintaining the best GPA possible. We do have some resources available for all of our students, but especially those who may be struggling or need some additional help. I'm hoping by now that you've all heard of our 24/7 paper tutoring resource called paper.co. It is chat-based tutoring with subject-specific tutors. They are available 24/7, so students can log in the middle of the night if they need help with their math homework or whatever. They're going to be using their CVUSD account as well, so they don't need to remember another password. They just use that same Google account. And it's great because the tutors are not going to just give students answers. They are going to guide them through how to find the correct answer based on what they know, what they've learned from their teachers, the notes that they've received. It's not a fix-all, in 1 minute. It is actual tutoring where the students are being led to find out the answers and get the help that they need. So that is an incredible resource that our district has provided to our students. I do want to talk a little bit about PSAT and SAT, but before I do, one of the things that Ms. Mealy mentioned was AP exams for this current school year. There's AP College Board just released information about all different ways that the testing will be available this year. It is all new to us. We're not exactly sure if they are going to make us select like all in person or all virtual, or if we can pick a combination. So we will definitely be providing more information to our students who are in AP classes and who will be taking AP exams this year. So just keep your ear out for that information as we make it available. But the PSAT and SAT, so most universities no longer require students to take the SAT, especially our California community colleges do not require it. Our Cal States and our UCs do not require it, or will they even review that information? So it is not nearly as important as it used to be, but it still exists. There is an organization called fairtest.org that has a list of all of the schools that are considered test optional or test blind, meaning they either don't require students to submit SAT scores or they do not look at them. So in our case, the Cal States and UCs are considered test blind. They absolutely do not look at them in the review for admissions process. So it is now really important that students really research the colleges they're interested in to find out if they are required to submit test scores. It is likely that we will offer students the opportunity to take the PSAT in October. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but that is something that we will probably offer to students so that they can use those scores to qualify for National Merit Scholarship consideration. We'll also be offering the SAT to our current juniors if they're in need of that, but it would be on a voluntary basis. One thing that is coming up to kind of keep in your mind, in 11th grade, students resume taking the CASP testing. So they took it in 8th grade, they do not take it in 9th and 10th, but the testing resumes in 11th grade. Those scores are important because that is what the Cal States use for placement in college level courses, or help identify ways in which students might need additional resources or assistance in their classes. So it is also important for the seal of biliteracy, as well as how we're judged as a school. We are still, for our current juniors, the state is still expecting them to take the CASP this year. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but I anticipate when your students are in 11th grade, it is very likely that they will require them to take the CASP. This here is a link to more information about how those scores are used, especially now that the SAT and ACT testing has, for the most part, been eliminated in the admissions process, at least in California schools. The CASP testing becomes more important in helping students be placed in their classes, their college level classes correctly. We also want to talk a little bit about NCAA. This is for student athletes. It's so hard for us to know, especially with the loss of many sports this year, or no contests in our sports this year, that we want to make sure that our students who are anticipating that they will be college athletes, that they know what their requirements are for meeting those. So it's important. This is a typical timeline for student athletes. So in 9th grade and 10th grade, they're really just doing well in their classes, making sure that the classes that they are in meet the course list requirements, registering with a free account at the eligibility center. And then 11th and 12th grade is really when they need to make sure that they are meeting those requirements, converting their accounts, talking to recruiters if that's something that they're doing. All right, so here are some resources and upcoming events. I know we've covered a lot of information tonight, and I'm sorry this meeting is running so late, but we know that this is really important information, and we want to make sure that you are aware of what's coming up and what's available to help your students.
Awesome. So I'll be jumping in here to talk a little bit about some important resources. So it's really important that if you have not completed your lunch application yet, that you do. Students who qualify for free and reduced lunch can be eligible for test and application fee waivers when it comes to applying to college. And I know right now your students are not, your children are not applying to college, but if you are able to, we would highly recommend that you do complete the lunch application. Even if you feel like you wouldn't qualify, the link is on the district website as well. Weekly food boxes are available on Wednesdays through Nutrition Services, and you can just have your barcode or student ID number ready and using that link. So if you or your family are in need of any nutrition services, the district is still providing food during the distance learning. We also wanted to quickly touch upon some community resources. As Mrs. Hanson mentioned earlier, we know that this has been one of the most challenging years for your children and possibly you getting through this school year, as well as everything else going on in the world. So we do have a lot of community resources. As we mentioned, one of the main jobs of a school counselor in the role is to help support students' mental health. So we do have a community resource page as well as Care Solace, which is an advocate and a case manager system to help families get connected with mental health resources. So you would use this link specific to Covina Valley parents if you feel that you need some mental health services for your child, and then you'll be able to fill out the form and somebody will get a hold of you shortly to be able to provide you with the next steps in regards to navigating insurance, figuring out appointments, and all of those difficult things to navigate in the mental health system. If you want to find that community resource guide, you can go to the South Hills website under the counseling tab and click on the social emotional resources. And there you'll be able to find the page that I had up there. Right there is the link. There is one in Spanish. This one right here specifically is very in-depth. There's multiple pages on all types of resources. So it's a great thing to just have on hand in case you need some support in the community. And then the district website has mental health resources as well. Our district social workers look through a referral form for school-based mental health counseling. And you can click on this tab, this little button here that says school-based mental health counseling referral form if you feel that your child could benefit from meeting with a mental health counselor to help them through this transition and this challenging time. As well, South Hills is really proud of their wellness center and our support through the wellness program. We do have a wellness specific tab on our website that you can click to check out our wellness center website, which is full of different resources. So this is what the front page of the website will look like. And then you can click on wellness resources by topic. And each of these topics have a list of resources that students can use. So I would definitely recommend checking this out. And as well, we do have the virtual calming space, which is a great place for students and families to go if they need a little time to cool off or just chill out a little bit, find some calm. So there are a lot of resources here as well. That is under the wellness tab. So I do know, and I've seen in the chat that a lot of, I saw in the chat that a lot of students and parents were asking about how to get involved. This is one of the biggest things that we hear from not only students, but families, is the idea of students losing that connection. So we are so proud at South Hills to have currently 35 active clubs. So clubs have not slowed down. They are still meeting virtually. They're still getting involved with fundraisers and activities. And many of the counselors are advisors for clubs, but these are just a few that we have of the logos. So clubs like the WISA Club, which is Women Empowerment Student Association. We had the Activism Club, the Active Faith, the Dog Pack, the GSA. We have an IB Club, Girls Who STEM, Mental Health Club. So there's many ways for your student to get involved. So if you feel that this would be beneficial, or you have your child is interested in a certain topic, feel free to check out the link on the South Hills website where you'll be able to see that list. It's really small, but you'll be able to see the full list of all 35 active clubs, including the advisor and the student president who they can reach out to, or check out their social media to find out when club meetings are. And then another event that we have coming up on March 11th is the Light Up the Night event. In some capacity, we will be hosting this event. More information to come, but this is our open showcase for you to learn about our programs and to just get to see the amazing things that our school and our teachers and our faculty are doing with our students. So contact us. This is the South Hills website, as well as the main office numbers, counseling, ASB, and attendance. If you are not already, we highly, highly recommend that you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, not for the followers, but because we are truly active on our social media. And what we do is we post different things, from activities to events to scholarships to opportunities, summer programs. We post a lot. So be sure to follow us on both the counseling and the ASB Instagram and Twitter. And
Good evening. I am Marisol Marquez. I am the IB coordinator here at South Hills, as well as the IB history teacher. I know it's been a long evening, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. And then we will save the end of the meeting for any Q&A. So I can help you along. If you miss anything from this presentation will be on the IB website, and you can access the IB website through the South Hills High website under the academics section. And this presentation will be there along with extra information and resources. And I keep it up to date. Exam registration, calendars, and all of that will be on the IB website. Okay, so we'll start with what is an IB education. So it's, to begin with, it's a comprehensive program. And the goal is to focus on the individual, the learner as a whole person, and understanding that they're a lifelong learner. And the goal of IB is to develop people with skills to tackle complex challenges in society and to make this world a better place. So in essence, that is what the core of IB is. And that is definitely the message of IB. I do have a part of the mission statement here. But again, it goes back to the goal of creating a better and more peaceful world. Another component of IB is developing traits or characteristics, which are, I guess, on the slide right here, and which is integral to being that lifelong learner, of being, not only this learner, but this thinker, this inquirer, being open-minded, being knowledgeable. And so it's taking all of this and trying to strive to be this person. And then also there's a component of international mindedness, recognizing that we don't live on this planet alone. And it's trying to have this attitude of openness to and curiosity about the world and different languages as well. Now, what kind of a student is a good candidate for IB? I get asked this quite often. And I guess we can sum it down to these 3 points. One is definitely it's high-level rigorous courses that students that are motivated, interested in this rigorous course of study, but then also a strong commitment to learning, because the learning is the core and the central component of what IB is. And also students willing to develop skills like time management and organization. Another thing too I'd like to add is IB also is for students who like assignments that allow for investigation on topics of the student's choice, because that is also going to be a part of IB when we talk about something called internal assessments, or IAs. Those are places for students to investigate on their own. They're going to have to come up with the research question, obviously with help and assistance. They're going to find sources and they're going to figure this out on their own. It's going to be very student driven and based on students' choice. And then also IB is for those students who want to be part of this community of learners, which you can go to the next slide. Yeah. A community of learners where students get to interact with each other. Right now, it's obviously very virtual, but interacting with each other in an academic setting, and really like to challenge each other and challenge themselves and to continue in this academic adventure. And there were some differences that were already mentioned between IB and AP. One of the big differences with IB and AP is that the diploma program is a cohesive and comprehensive program with some distinguishing features like CAS, EE, and TOK. There's a lot of acronyms, but I'll quickly explain what those are in a moment. So these are the options that we currently have at South Hills. So the most rigorous is number 1, the diploma program. So in essence, this is a student, their junior and senior year, taking everything IB. So they have to study 6 subjects in addition to something that IB calls the core, which is CAS, EE, and TOK. In the next slide, I'll go into a little bit more detail what that entails. Another course option that students can choose, or the program option, is the associates. So students can study 3 to 4 subjects in addition to CAS and TOK. Now, IB recognizes students as either you're the full diploma or you're a course student. And so associates is something that we invented here at South Hills as a way to recognize rigor and recognize the students that, hey, want to take on some rigor, but then perhaps don't want to commit to the full diploma program. And then obviously there's courses, and we offered that option as well, which is very similar to AP, is students just taking courses a la carte. The core, what is that? Okay, so the 3 things that are part of that core. So CAS, it stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. And this is, this pretty much takes place out of the classroom. So what are students doing with regards to extracurricular activities, community service, athletic options, which they're showing that they're this amazing person that they are, right? And so that's what CAS is. EE, or extended essay, that's only required for full diploma. This is a 4,000-word research paper, and will guide students throughout their 2 years on how to go about approaching that. And then TOK, which is one of the favorites of students. It's where they get to reflect on the nature of knowledge and how we know what we claim to know. And then here is CAS in action. So students doing something in clubs, organizations, through sports. They're reaching out to their community and they're doing something. And so that is what CAS is. Here are just some samples of former South Hills students and some of the questions that they have developed for their EE topics. And these are available on the website if anybody would like to look through those. And here's just some example questions that students tackle in TOK about knowledge and how does one know what they know, or at least claim to know what they know. And so I also have, and this is available on the website, course options at South Hills. And going back to the full diploma, if students would like to select the full diploma, they would have to select from groups 1 through 5. Group 6 is optional, and making sure they have what we call a balance between some HL and SL courses. And what was said earlier in the meeting, HL courses just means the students will be in those courses for 2 years versus SL, typically they're in 1 year. And if students and parents and guardians are interested, there is a folder that is available to all students and parents if they would like to see some sample exams. So what does an exam look like in biology, or what does an exam look like in history? So I created this folder that shows pretty much all the past exams so students can kind of see and what they're getting themselves into. Another concern for students is their schedules. And so some students kind of wonder, well, what does it look like really for me to be that full diploma student? And how much does that consume my day? And so what we have here are just sample schedules from different students. And it's going to be, in terms of scheduling, catered to students' needs as well. And so this is just a good way to kind of showcase that it can work if a student is in marching band or is an athlete. But it all depends on their interests and how to schedule around and make it work. Because 6 subjects in IB is a full load. And then here are just some sample 11th grade associate schedules as well. This section here, I know it's kind of tiny. It's reasons why colleges value the IB program. And colleges and universities, they recognize that students who complete the IB program are well prepared for challenging academic work beyond high school. And colleges value IB. And so they award or recognize IB in different ways. One, they could build special pathways for IB students. Another way could be granting college credit or advanced standing for students. I guess one best case scenario, and we've had a few graduating full diploma students who, based on their test scores and earning the full diploma, were able to enter as a sophomore standing at a university. So there are some ways to definitely get some college credit. And then also there are some schools that provide scholarship opportunities for IB students as well. This is a list of some of the institutions that some of our former IB students have attended or are currently attending right now. And IB is rigorous, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It is definitely rigorous, but it's about that shift in the mindset. And one of the things that is integral to IB is creating and developing that growth mindset. And again, it's not saying that every day is going to be perfect and I'm just going to sprinkle some glitter and everything is fine. No, it's really having that mindset that I can get smarter. Learning is my goal. Effort makes me stronger, and I'd spend more time and work harder, and that will definitely equal achievement. And I've seen it on a yearly basis. The students who really go for the learning, part of IB and embrace the learning part, they're the ones that definitely end up achieving and get the most out of the IB program. And there's definitely recognition, and we understand the rigors of an IB program. And so we recognize students at their senior banquet. We have a senior banquet put on by IB Parent Association, and we recognize students. So IB full diploma and associate students, we recognize them with a stole, and then core students get recognized with a cord in recognizing their achievements and their effort. And there is an IB Parent Association. And so this is very similar to PTA. So this is like PTA for IB students, and they support the program and they support the students through fundraising and help put together the end of the year banquet as well. And here is the contact information. I was trying to keep it brief. And so I think we can open for some Q&A if anyone has any questions.
There was a question, Ms. Marquez, you might know the number, approximately how many students graduate with the IB diploma? I don't know it offhand.
I guess it all depends on how many students are full diploma to begin with. And so, yeah, I guess that would be dependent on last year. We had probably, I would say, like 80% ended up that started as full diploma, ended up getting full diploma.
All right, thank you, Ms. Marquez, for sharing that information. The counselors, Ms. Marquez, will stick around for just a couple more minutes. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming tonight. Sorry we kept you so long. We really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, of course,